What's up, y'all? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to my channel if you're already a subscriber. And if this is your first time joining me on today, go ahead, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you share this video with a friend because you know you want to. So, this is a continuation of my part one, how to nurture your child based on their moon sign. And I'm going to drop the link to that video in the description box down below. So take a look at that if you haven't already and come back. But the moon in astrology typically represents not only just the physical mother in a literal sense, but it could also symbolize your ability to nurture yourself. Your moon sign is associated with things that make you feel comfortable, things that bring you emotional peace and balance. And these same qualities lay out the blueprint or the foundation for the way that you're able to nurture and take care of yourself and your emotional needs as an adult. So it's very important for a parent to really nurture and develop the moon signs of their children, because I find that children tend to be born in this world with a very strong sense of their moon sign, right? Your sun sign isn't something that you grow to develop until later on. Your moon sign, as your spirit enters this particular life cycle, you have a stronger attachment to your moon sign just because of that yin realm or that feminine, divine feminine connection there, right? So I said all that to say that it's very important to, number one, figure out what your child's moon sign is, because it's going to be just as important as their sun sign. And there are a few things that you can do in the meantime as you're raising your children to really just give them the tools that they need to be able to better take care of themselves as they grow into adulthood. If your child has a Leo moon, it's important to know that these children need lots of attention. Now, Leo is governed by the sun, and I always say, like, what is the sun? We look at it as the center of our universe, right? It sits in the middle of the universe as we know it, and everything revolves around it, or that's what science tells us, right? So the same concept applies to Leo moon children. These children from very early on are just naturally gifted performers. You don't even have to ask them to do a dance at the family cookout, because 9 times out of 10, your Leo moon child will probably volunteer, okay? They will whip and nay their little hearts out. These children love everything creative. So, and this could be compared to your Pisces moon as well as your Libra or Taurus moon children, in the sense that there is this inclination towards the theater or the arts, entertainment. It's a very artistic kind of energy. This is the same reason why many celebrities tend to have very prominent Leo energy in their charts. And so not only is it important that you give them attention yourself, but that you sign them up or enroll them in different type of activities that allow them to showcase their talents, because this is going to help them develop their ego. And because Leo is governed by the sun, and the sun is correlated with the ego, your identity in astrology, there's a very huge need to help these children develop a very healthy ego, because it's going to be detrimental to their overall personality in the future. So that's important. Also, Leo moon children are naturally good leaders. So even assigning them responsibilities at home or help nurturing those leadership instincts within them. These will be children who tend to be, the trendsetters of their friends. So encouraging them to take on and really come into that leadership role that they naturally are just predisposed to, right? That's very important. Now, Virgo moons are actually pretty similar to Gemini moons in certain ways, simply because both of these signs are governed by Mercury, okay? However, unlike a Gemini moon child who is, yes, very talkative, very intellectual and expressive, I tend to find Virgo moon children are a bit on the more shy and reserved side, okay? So you have this same type of intellectual capacity with a Virgo moon, meaning that I would definitely advise you to continue to teach, right? And pour into them, because these children are going to catch on. 9 times out of 10, they probably learn to speak quicker than other children. They probably learn to read faster than other children. So Virgo and Gemini moon children share that sense of just rapid learning, right? So it's very important to enrich these children academically. But with Virgo moon children, they actually are pretty sensitive, and they're very prone to kind of similar to Pisces. They're very prone to being or developing low self-esteem, right? Because Virgo, that Mercury energy, I would kind of say that because Virgo is the more reserved side of the Mercury energy, it creates a complex to where these people tend to be very in their head. So picture this with a child, right? And it's easy for these children to second guess themselves, for them to grow up feeling less than or developing a kind of complex to where they really have just low self-esteem. So as a result, unlike your Gemini moon child, you might have to take a little bit more time and attention and compassion to reassure these Virgo moon children that they are worthy, that they are smart, that, you know, they are just as cool as the next kid. And to really push them to get out of their shells, get out of their heads and get out of their shells, and maybe to try and experience new things or things that they probably thought that they never were able or capable to do. Also, because Virgo is the natural ruler of the sixth house, which governs, you know, routine, cleanliness, habits, these children might also be very orderly, right? Or they're going to need, at the very least, a certain sense of order, a certain sense of structure in the home in order for them to function properly, right? So, and similar to the Capricorn moons, I would advise also for parents of Virgo moon children to kind of develop a routine of sorts, and keep them in an environment that they feel comfortable in and that's very consistent. Also, give them responsibilities, because Virgo moon children tend to be very, they're actually very, very helpful and way more responsible. And actually, they could be like little old people too. So you would be surprised with how much responsibility you can give your Virgo moon children. And they actually enjoy that. And they're going to grow up to really, these are going to be ways that they're able to find sense and make peace with the world around them and their surroundings. So that'll be good for them. And it also helps to build their self-esteem. Libra moon children. Now, this is going to be very similar to your Taurus moon because there's that Venus element, right? Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. So these children might be very artistically inclined. So, of course, I would absolutely encourage you guys to cultivate their sense of creativity in whatever way that they choose to express that. These children could also be very talkative, right? So kind of growing to understand that, because Libra is an air sign that looks to communicate and to relate with other people. I mean, and they could actually grow up to be just gossipers, to be honest, downright gossipers. But these children can tend to be chatty Cathys. So similar to your Gemini moon children, it's important to engage in conversation with these children. Don't be afraid to talk to them, okay? And also, these children, your Libra moon children, are very sensitive to injustice, because you got to remember Libra is represented by that scales, right? The scales. So these children might naturally be very good at sensing when somebody has wronged them, when somebody has wronged other people. So instilling and just really making sure that you finely tune their sense of right and wrong will really help them in the future, because it'll help them be able to establish that balance that a lot of Libras are really good at doing. And in turn, this is what makes a lot of people with Libra energy so good at debating. They could even make for great lawyers in the future. So helping them just, stay on top of that sense of right and wrong, building up their moral and ethic compass is always a good thing. Now, your Scorpio moon babies, these babies are a little tricky, because while it's important to give these children time to themselves, right? It's very imperative for Scorpio moon children to have alone time to decompress, right? However, they're also still quite sensitive, okay? And it's very important to be mindful of that as well. These children are naturally drawn to mysteries and things that can't be seen with the naked eye. They also are very intuitive, highly, surprisingly intuitive. No matter how old the child is, you'll be surprised at how much they know that you probably didn't even think that they knew. For example, my daughter is a Scorpio rising, which is, it's a little different, but kind of the same, similar type of energy here. And I absolutely hate and despise her father. But of course, I try to conceal that, right? I'm pretty sure any reasonable parent would. But I would remember, like, whenever all three of us would get together, she would say things to me like, "Mommy, be nice. Mommy, why don't you like daddy? Why are you so mean to daddy?" And on the outside looking in, people would probably think this bitch is just trifling. She's sitting around bad mouthing the father to her 4-year-old, 3 and 4-year-old child, but that actually has never been the case. I don't think I've ever spoke a dissenting word about her father in front of her, ever. But that's that Scorpio energy. These children are naturally, and children in general are just naturally, intuitive. But when you add that Scorpio energy, these Scorpio moons, especially, so I could only imagine a Scorpio moon child. These children are masterminds at just picking up shit. Okay. So be very mindful of the type of energy that you're harboring when you're around them, because no matter how well you try to conceal things, they have a way of always figuring things out, which leads me to my next point, which is I would really advise that with Scorpio moon children that you become open. Okay, honesty is the best policy. Now, of course, you can use your discernment to kind of determine what is appropriate for what age, how much you want to share, and and the extent to which you share. But keeping secrets from Scorpio moon children just tends to not be a good idea, because it's best to be really open with these children, because they can grow up to be naturally suspicious of other people and things. Also, be very open with them as it regards to taboo. And that kind of goes back into what I was speaking on in my first video, when I was talking about Gemini moon children being very expressive and the need to constantly talk and communicate with them. And it's kind of similar here with Scorpio moon children, but because Scorpio is the natural ruler of the 8th house in astrology, which represents death, sex, taboo. Of course, I'm not saying just sit around and talk to your children about sex, but if you have a Scorpio moon child, they're going to have a natural inclination towards the darker sides of life and things that as parents are going to make us uncomfortable as fuck. So the best thing to do is get ahead of the game and just have these very basic level introductory kind of conversations with them, right? About their body parts. Scorpio rules the anus and the genitalia, right? So these children are probably going to be very preoccupied, very fascinated with their own private parts. So teaching them about the human body, or at least their body, right? In very layman's understandable terms for children, the way that that works. They might have very existential kind of questions. What's death? What happens after we die? Don't get uncomfortable. I mean, and you might naturally be uncomfortable with talking to children about those things, but they understand way more than you would think. Like I said, my daughter is a Scorpio rising, and I mean, literally, we've had all kinds of conversations as it pertains to that. And all of the conversations she brought the subject forward. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to you to be pretty open. Be open with them, right? Because they're naturally going to be drawn to those parts of life anyway. And as a parent, it's your job to get in front of that and really educate them on certain things, right? In a way that you see or that you find to be appropriate. Sagittarius moon children. So Sag moon children tend to be very free, outgoing, very charismatic little children, you know, bouncing off the walls. They have so many different interests. They're here, there, and everywhere. And as a result, I think it's best that you nurture these Sag moon children by really versing them in a lot of different things culturally, right? Because, you know, Sag rules the ninth house of the zodiac, and it governs long distance travel, right? It represents foreign lands, philosophy, higher education, excuse me. So as a result, it's very important to make sure your children, these Sag moon children, are well cultured. Sign them up for a foreign language class. Travel, you know, don't be afraid to do the family vacations. Or maybe you're going out of town and, you know, you would get a babysitter, or you would leave them at home with dad or whoever. Bring the kid with you. Sag moon children especially love to travel. They love soaking in new experiences. They love, you know, having opportunities to learn. And they're actually very similar to Gemini moon children. And you have to think about it in the sense that Sagittarius is the opposite sign, right? It's the exact opposite sign of Gemini, but they share like a lot of similar qualities in the sense that these children are naturally going to be outgoing. They're naturally going to have this kind of hunger and thirst for knowledge, but they have a very high propensity to try to figure out their surroundings and figure out the world around them. I would even say instilling some type of moral. You don't have to be religious, but instilling some type of moral compass in them, or at least exposing them to a variety of different things, right? And allowing them to come to that decision on their own, because Sagittarius moon children are naturally, they have a need for freedom, right? So give them variety, teach them and expose them to a lot of different things so that when they get older, they can make up their minds and as far as the direction that they want to go in. And they're always going to have this curiosity for knowledge, always. So definitely enrich them as far as that goes, and be okay with everything not being so cut and dry. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to serve breakfast at dinner. It's okay for their rooms to be a little messy. I mean, of course, you know, they're going to have to clean their rooms, but, you know, your Sag moon children probably aren't going to be the neatest of the bunch, right? And they're probably also going to be very, very scattered brain kind of, right? So, you know, and you can use your discretion to how far you're going to meet them with this, right? But definitely be understanding of that. And just enroll them in different activities that will allow them to meet different people, go different places, experience different things. That's going to help them out in the long run. Okay. So with that being said, that concludes my part 2 of how to nurture your child based on their moon sign. So drop down in the comment box below. Let me know what you guys thought. And as always, make sure you practice unconditional self love so that you can love others. And until next time, ah.